you love, covering all things professional wrestling. A show by members of the Busted Open Nation. Welcome to the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, the Nation's Corner crew. By members of the Busted Open.
What's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to another edition of the Nation's Corner. It's our 3-year anniversary. I'm excited to be here with Debhausen and Tony Justice. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
What's up?
How you doing over there?
It's been a ride. It's been fun.
Yeah.
A lot of peaks and valleys.
Yeah. Yeah. 3 years of doing this show. Of course, you know, those that have known us for a while know that we've kind of, you know, been a group before that. Actually, we all kind of a little bit got to know each other before the pandemic started, just shortly before the pandemic started, interacting on Discord and on Twitter. The pandemic really solidified our friendship, though, and it's awesome to be here for 3 years doing this every Saturday.
Yeah, and it's cool. Yeah. We've got a chance to go all over the country and meet new people, and people, you know, become part of the group and part of the Busted Open Nation. I feel like everywhere we go, we run into Busted Open Nation members, and it's like you're part of a thing, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really cool to see like how, you know, over the last 3 years, we've been able to kind of have like this extended network of friends from all over, you know, the Busted Open Nation. That, like you said, every time we go to an event, you know, there's always people like, hey, I know you guys, you know, and it's so cool to be able to meet people that you interact with on Twitter and other social media. That's been kind of the coolest part, is like every time we go somewhere, someone comes up to us and is like, hey, it's cool to meet you.
Yeah, the vibe that we all have, you know, we've gotten closer over the years too, you know, but the vibe that we put off on here and on Zoom, it exists in real life, because when we're all together in real time hanging out, you know, people can see that, and you know, it's just, that's the way, in my opinion, and I'm not, you know, trying to be biased or anything, but that's the way wrestling fans, it's a family, you know, and that's what it's supposed to be about, right? And I'm very protective of my friends now. And that's a hill that I will die on, is my friends. When it comes to my friends, y'all are the closest things to family that I have, right? Other than family, y'all are it. And so I say it all the time, you know, I'm so thankful to have y'all as my family, and everyone in the crew as my family as well. So, I mean, it's just crazy how we all came together, and it's stuff of legend, as they say.
Yeah, and it's really like, you know, you said you didn't want to be biased or anything. There's absolutely no shame in being biased towards your friends. Everybody is biased towards their personal friend group. You know, you like your friends more than you like other people that aren't your friends. Like that's normal. And you know, we, like you said, we kind of, you know, just we love when we are able to get together and hang out with each other in person, because it doesn't happen very often that, you know, especially a large group of us are able to get together in person. So when we do, it's special, and we cherish it and we enjoy it. And one of the memories that I know, Tony, we were talking about this the other day when in April, when we were in Philly and we went to the Wicked Wolf, when Bully was hosting the party at the Wicked Wolf, and we went there, and you know, we kind of all got a big table in the corner of the room, and you know, we were all eating and stuff, so we were just kind of chilling at our table, eating and drinking and stuff, and you know, a lot of people came over to us to say hi, and by the end of the night, it was just kind of like everybody was just hanging out. There was no like, you know, oh my God, you're a Bully Ray. Like it was just chilling. And that's the way that we, you know, like when we get together in person, we just we just really enjoy and cherish those memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because, like you said, we were just sitting there, and all of a sudden, Bully and Dave and some other folks came over and sat with us and talked for a while, and it was just fun. It was fun just to be casual and talk to folks like that. I do. John Bay's in the chat looking for Mongrovian Mike. Mongrovian Mike has had quite the week, and that's his story to tell. But he will probably be back soon. We are not keeping him off the show.
Yeah.
No, he's kicked off.
No, he I talked to him today, so he's doing fine. He's doing fine. But yeah, as Front Row said, that's his story to tell, and he will tell it when he comes back on.
He's in the chat. So,
hi, Mongrovian Mike.
He's complaining about it. You chose not to be on the show. What are you booing us for? Passing the heat. Oh my god.
That's some passive aggressiveness right there.
Yeah. It really is. But it's fun because, like, through this show and through all the stuff that we've got a chance to do, we've had some really fun guests, both in the previous iteration of the show and this version. And then you start to run into people at shows, and they're like, "Oh, it was so cool to talk to you guys," or whatever. Tony and I ran into, Chris Van Vliet in the airport and talked to him for a little while, and just a lot of the guests and people that we've, made friends and networked with over the last few years. So it's cool. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be super fun to see what the next couple of years brings. So y'all stay tuned. Steven, sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, Steven, fresh off of his Sammy Hagar concert last night. He went to see Sammy Hagar in Charlotte. So
yeah, he was here. He was here last night.
That's awesome.
I believe Lover Boy opened, right? So
yeah.
Oh yeah. Damn.
So there's a ton of stuff to talk about. It's funny because I was listening to Sam Roberts the other day talking about, every time he feels like he has to keep putting on emergency pods because you can't push that stuff to the weekend or whatever, because then there's just too much stuff that happens. So he's doing like 3 or 4 friggin' podcasts a week. I've seen other people doubling up on podcasts just to catch up with all the content. And we probably won't do that.
Yeah, no, we're not doing it. I like our 1 hour every Saturday.
Yeah.
Thanks,
8:05. We're probably gonna have some wine and a cigar. So
yeah,
y'all are on your own.
I got. Speaking of drinks, in my lovely prancing pony mug, for those of you that are Lord of the Rings fans, Seth made a variation of Caribou, his own mixture. I don't know what's in it, but it's yummy.
Cool.
I tell you what, John Bay, why don't you start a podcast and we'll put you on our channel and you can run it.
Nation's Corner 24/7.
No.
Nation's Corner 2 hours a week, just 2.
Yeah.
2.
Oh
John Bay, those 3 letters that John likes to tell you? No. I'm not going to steal his gimmick.
Well, yeah, Mongrovian took care of that.
There you go. We love you, John Bay. Thank you for being in the live chat.
Less is more.
Very, very loyal.
Yes, appreciate you. My God, everybody's in there. I see Mike, I see Neil, I see John, I see Trenda, I see Steven. Cheers, Neil. Why are we cheersing Neil? Let's cheers Neil.
We always cheers Neil. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. That's true. Isn't it time for Neil to go to bed? Neil's usually in bed by now.
Well, it's Slammiversary night.
That's fair. Yeah, Neil works super early. He works like, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning or some shit. So
and I'm sure he's got some New Japan to watch. So
yes, as a matter of fact, I believe the G1 started this morning, right? Speaking of which, if you get a chance and you're a New Japan fan, go check out our interview that we did this week with Karen Peterson, previewing the G1 Climax. It was really fun. Karen, Neil, and Ezra are super knowledgeable, and I pressed record. That was my job. So
that was your contribution to the show.
That was it. No.
It was a great show. You guys had a really good conversation, and for those of us who, don't have the time to be up on New Japan and everything that's happening, it was kind of a good catch up, and we'll let you guys know what's going on. The G1 is just it's kind of like blown up in the wrestling world over the last couple of years in kind of the popularity and how far it's spread. Like most people know what it is and are at least kind of paying attention to what's happening.
Well, and with the interaction with AEW now, the stakes have changed this year, right? So, not to go into too much detail, but with the G1, the winner getting an opportunity, hopefully, at Wrestle Kingdom, and then the tie-in with the AEW this year, it's going to be there'll be a lot more people watching, I think.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I just, before we jump into wrestling, I just wanted to mention one thing. So if you guys are fans of good comedy, and one of my favorite movies of all time is Young Frankenstein. And we had an opportunity this weekend to go to for Young Frankenstein, the musical. And it was the most fun thing. It was, we'd always talk about independent wrestling. We went to the local theater here. It was $20 a ticket, and it was fantastic. So if you're up for that sort of thing, go check out your local theater, because there's a lot of good local arts, and I had a blast. It was super fun. Okay, where do you want to start? You want to start with TNA? Or you want to start with WWE?
Well, let's go over WWE first.
Yeah, we can go over the TNA card at the end of the show or something. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot to cover with TNA because there's so much interaction now.
Yeah.
There was a lot of great interviews on Busted Open this week, especially on Friday. There's been storyline crossovers. We've seen stuff with obviously Joe Hendry and the Rascals, and yeah. What I think probably the best place to start for me is I want to get your opinion on how the Wyatt Six is going, because I feel like I really enjoy. I know we heard them on Busted Open talk about like there was a mixed bag. They liked some of it, didn't like some of it. I really like what they're doing. Pretty much all of it is interesting to me. The Rowan interview was phenomenal. And then the stuff that happened with Gable and the Creed brothers later on, I thought was really good too. So, Deb, let me start with you. So let's break that into two things, right? So you've got the interview and then the in-ring segment.
Yeah, so the interview with Eric Rowan, played from the VHS tape, it was just, the only way I can describe it really is raw emotion. It was the pretty much, if I'm not mistaken, the first time we've really heard Eric Rowan speak about the loss of not only Bray but Brody. And that's just, it was just so emotional, for most of us fans. That's still, it's been just under a year since Bray passed away. And Bray and Brody and everything, like everything's connected with that, and it's still a very heartbreaking thing that the wrestling world went through. And truly, I don't know if there's, other than Owen Hart, I don't know if there's really been a wrestling death that's affected people that much. But that video of Eric speaking about it, I loved the way that Brody, John Huber, was brought into it, because he cannot be forgotten in all of this. He was an integral part of the original Wyatt family, so he cannot be forgotten. And it was just so emotional. And I know all of us were just kind of like staring, like my eyes were welling up. I'm sure everybody else kind of had the same reaction. And that, I think where they're getting it the most right is these videotapes. The stories that they're telling and how real it is. Like this, you can't get any more real than this. This is real life. And that is where they're getting it the most right. It's being executed exquisitely.
Mm-hmm.
Now on the other side, with kind of what we're seeing so far of the like what's happening in ring, there can be an argument of, maybe it's slightly turning to the hokey side, which we didn't want. I do agree with Dave about like he said that he didn't like, just the little things like Sheamus being interviewed backstage after one of the segments, and it was kind of like I don't know what's going on there. Like, there are little things like that that's starting to feel like, they're kind of joking around about it. Like, oh man, wacky things are happening.
Yeah.
But other than that, everything else has been great. We saw Bo Dallas for the first time actually, walking out as himself. And that's when the beatdown with the Creed brothers happened. I thought that felt a little bit wonky, just because I feel like the rest of the Wyatt Six should have come out sooner.
Yeah.
I think the beatdown went on too long, where you're like, okay, well, why? Like, we knew that they were going to come out, but like, why isn't he fighting back? Why isn't he doing something? That felt a little weird, but I liked the maniacal laugh. I am really enjoying the storyline, and I like that they're just giving us little, similar to how the Bloodline went for so long. They're just sprinkling little things in every week, just a little thing. They're not rushing it. We're just getting little bits and pieces every week to kind of keep it chugging along. I do think my main thought on it right now is that I want to see the Bo Dallas name go away.
I do too.
That's not Bo Dallas. That's Taylor Rotunda.
Mm-hmm.
And Bo Dallas was the smiley, Bo leave. Like, this is the furthest thing from that Bo Dallas character that the name just doesn't click anymore. He needs to be Taylor Rotunda.
Yeah.
So a couple of things that you said there, and Tony, I want to get your opinion too on this, because I think I do think that segment could have been shortened up a little bit, but I think that the beating went down to the point where when Bo finally says, "There you are," he was waiting to see that vicious, violent side before the other Wyatt Six came out. I think he was the sacrificial lamb, or he was just allowing himself to be beat down to force the dark side of Chad Gable out. I also think from a real name perspective, I totally get that. But if they do that with him, then they kind of have to do that with everybody. And I don't think they're going to do that with everybody. I don't know. Tony, what do you think?
Get that.
I agree that you're going to see that background on Taylor, and you're going to see that background on Eric Rowan. But I think the others are just the new additions, so you're not going to get that background. Plus what emotion are you going to get from them other than maybe a backstory on why they feel the way they feel, why, certain things that happened to them in the WWE, like with what's her name, Nikki Cross, the way she was treated, and plus, if you really think back, before the Wyatt Six came out, Nikki Cross was easing into this gimmick that she is now, because that they'd be showing something outside the arena and you'd see her standing there looking off into the dang distance,
Mm-hmm.
and we were kind of wondering then, like, well, that's Nikki Cross, what is she doing, and so after her little Nikki ASH gimmick, the superhero gimmick, and they did put the title on her, but after that, it just, which is surprising they let her run with that character, because that was her creation, so
Right.
But anyway, after that, I don't know if we're going to get that deep of a VHS segment with them, other than telling their backstory on why they feel like they're wronged.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with Deb. The VHS tapes are so cool. I love the edits they're doing, like the tracking, kind of tracking on it, and
the video effects.
that and the the vocal edits they're doing, like whenever Rowan was talking and he said they knew I needed help or something like that, and then you heard that deeper voice come in, with made his voice funny, and then it sounded eerie when he said that. And they're just putting certain touches to the VHS tapes to make it more creepy, you know. While we're all having emotional moments with watching the video, because like you said, Deb, this is real emotion they're letting out. And when Rowan was talking, and when he was talking about Luke Harper and then Bray, and then he broke down, my tears were coming out of my eyes. And it's just wow. So, you know, you're seeing on screen them coping with the death of their brothers, you know. And but the ring segment though, I feel like it went on too long. I agree. I feel like the rest of the Wyatt Six took too long to come out because they wanted to put emphasis on. I think they wanted to put emphasis on Taylor or Bo. I wish they would change his name to Taylor. Taylor laughing, you know. I think they were trying to put emphasis on that, you know. And I was trying to remember, haven't we seen that before with Bray?
The maniacal laugh.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was to your point, Tony, a couple of things. Like that was specifically, I feel like that was specifically a nod to Bray. The yeah was a nod to Luke Harper as well. So Bo was incorporating different characteristics of his two fallen brothers.
Yeah.
In that moment, I think.
But those are my feelings on it.
Yeah, I'm going to be excited. It's going to be very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens. The only other thing I'll say is, like, I always come back to this. You know, we always hear, like, everything counts, right? Everything they've done, it goes all the way back to the documentary. It goes back to stuff that happened. Nikki's been walking in the background, and they're using all that stuff. Even now, you see backstage segments with just whoever, and there's the puppets in the background. There's so much going on that you have to pay attention to all of it. So, like, I think they could use the Taylor layer of the character outside of TV and interviews and podcasts, and because they already have that character in the documentary. And I say character because the documentary had Uncle Howdy. So if you wanted to tell the story of Taylor coming into the focus and then the Uncle Howdy thing, I think there's other ways to do it that they're gonna probably utilize, because they're just using everything to tell this story. And you really have to pay attention to friggin' everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So one thing I did want to highlight, Ilya Dragunov is friggin' amazing. His match with Sami Zayn, and you know, I think Deb, we were talking about the Braun Breaker cam, right? Being overused a little bit, maybe. But I love that he's getting such a spotlight, because I've been a fan of his since NXT UK, and then all the stuff that he's done in NXT. I love this match. My two favorite matches of the week, and I'm going to jump all over the place, right? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. How did you feel about? Do you think that Sami Zayn is going to drop the Intercontinental title, or are they going to give him like a nice long run with it?
I hope they give him a long run with it. I think he definitely deserves it. He's earned it. So yeah, I hope that he stays with it. But there's still, it might still be a little further down the road, but there's still a little part of me that thinks maybe that once Roman comes back, that they find a way to bring Sammy back into the fold with Roman and the bloodline. I don't know. I don't know how they get there. I haven't really fully thought out, how that's, but I don't know. There's something in me that thinks that that's going to happen at some point down the road.
Yeah.
I think, I know I initially said that I don't want to see Sammy involved with the bloodline stuff because he's not an actual member of the family, but he's an honorary Uso. So, I'm kind of going back on that a little bit. I'm kind of, let's see how it plays out kind of deal.
Mhm.
But like I said last week, I'm wondering how they're going to bring Jay back into the fold. Because ultimately, Jay and Jimmy are going to get back together. You know that Jay is going to get back into the bloodline to help with Roman and Paul. It's going to happen eventually, but just how do they do it?
Right.
Jay is kind of toying around with the. He's not involved in it, but it's like he's linked to it a little bit. The Wyatt Six stuff, he's kind of
Mhm.
linked to it a little bit. So I don't know if like the Wyatt Six come after Jay and then I don't know. I don't know how it'll happen, but anyway. As far as Sammy being the Intercontinental Champion, yeah, I like him being the Intercontinental Champion. I think he's a great champion. The match was amazing with him and Ilya. Yeah, he's going to get a little bit of a run with it, but it's not going to be a Gunther top run. It's not going to be that long
Yeah.
of a run. So, my opinion.
I love when the Wyatt stuff happened last week and Jay's just like yeet and he's out. What was it? That was it.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. And I think it's very interesting that a lot of this Wyatt stuff seems to happen around Jay. He's not directly involved, but it's happening around him. So I feel like there's something there with that.
Yeah, I don't know that I would include him in this right now because I do agree with Tony. Like he's a part of the bloodline storyline. So for me,
Yeah.
when Roman comes back, and what I would, if we had the pencil, I would like Paul Heyman to make a return after a period of time away, introduce Roman. They come back as the, crazy to say, the good guy team, right? The good guy pairing, and then you bring in Jay, who's already a good guy, and then you tell the story of how they talk Jimmy into joining, and of course Sammy's already on that side of the fence. So it's pretty easy to put that team together. I think from a storytelling perspective, the timing's going to be it's going to be very curious because we've got
Yes.
Survivor Series coming up, and then Royal Rumble, and all the big stuff between now and WrestleMania. So, but I do think that's the story that they're going to tell because Roman is going to be a massive babyface when he returns.
Oh my God, yeah. And he already is. Every single week we're hearing we want Roman chants. The fans are just not buying into Solo as the tribal chief. Like the fans know that he is not the rightful tribal chief.
I'm not holding it up. I'm holding it down. Finger down. Solo.
Oh, I thought you were, someone else. No, maybe not.
I was saying last night, wasn't it? When we were watching SmackDown on Zoom, didn't I say it last night? I think I did. About Solo, I'm not buying his the way he looks as the tribal chief.
Yeah.
He's not. There's something about him that's not just like he's getting overshadowed, in my opinion, by Jacob Fatu. And Jacob Fatu makes more of a splash when he comes out, and just you're paying attention to Jacob Fatu, not Solo. It's just Solo seems like a bystander,
I think it's almost designed that way because Jacob Fatu is so he has a very dominating presence. He is the enforcer right now. And so I do think it's almost designed that way to make it look like Solo is not as strong as the tribal chief should be.
Yeah, and I think, so to your point, like if we follow the storyline, right? So Roman is the tribal chief. He comes to prominence. He has an enforcer. He has all this stuff going on. He gets beaten at WrestleMania. Solo takes over as his enforcer, gets moved up into the tribal chief spot. Well, now we have his enforcer, Solo's enforcer, is Jacob Fatu. So are they going to tell that story where Jacob takes over that spot and takes over the bloodline? Jacob can cut a promo. So if they put him in that spot, if he overtakes, the boss, and I think actually Solo's doing a really good job of being the pretend boss because he's specifically doing things to make you go, I'm not buying this. And I think that's intentional. I think, Deb, you're right. I think that's intentional.
Yeah.
Mac Davis in the
I'm
chat.
definitely seeing.
What's up, Mac?
Yeah.
What's up, Mac?
I'm definitely seeing it that way. That it's making it obvious that Solo is not the proper tribal chief. Once Roman comes back, the fans will be 100% behind Roman, which feels kind of weird. It feels weird, but it's happening.
How many mob shows and things like that have we seen where like somebody takes over and does a shitty job, and then somebody has to come in and take them out and actually do the job the right way? And that's the feeling I get here.
That's true. And we've been talking about this, bloodline civil war that's impending. What if the nail in the coffin on Solo is Jacob then siding with Roman?
No, I don't think so, because Jacob's a bad dude. Jacob's a heel. I hear what you're saying, but I think
right.
Jacob takes over, and it becomes evident at some point that The Rock put him in that position. Because The Rock's a bad guy. Rock's a heel.
Okay.
At some point in the future. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, at some point we're going to get that Rock and Roman, right? So we're going to have those leaders and at that level.
Yeah.
So
there are other members that are coming as well, I think. There's going to be other members introduced to the bloodline.
For sure.
So yeah,
but I don't want 20 people in this storyline. They're doing a good job of not muddying the waters and making it too crazy and hard to follow. 4-on-4 is fine, maybe 5 if you've got leaders or managers or whatever. But I don't need 10-on-10. Like you start to get into that craziness. Then it's NWO territory.
Yeah, I was fixing to say you don't need another black and white NWO and then a Wolfpack NWO and then So
no, let's not.
Yeah. It's pretty cool though, because before we move on, I actually want to talk about the relationship between NXT and TNA, because I watch TNA more sporadically than you guys, but I do watch it. So when I started to see obviously Jordan Grace at the Rumble, and then the stuff that she did more recently, and then of course Joe Hendry and the Rascals and all that stuff, Ash by Elegance, I am very, very excited about this partnership. I'm very excited about what they've done. And from hearing from the talents on Busted Open, they seem to be really excited about it. So that's a good thing. Yeah. I don't feel like TNA is getting stepped on, and, like we've seen with other relationships between companies. So far, so good. So I wanted to ask you guys, like, of all the stuff that we've seen in the last, let's say, month or so, what moment or what interaction has been your favorite so far?
For me personally, I think I'm loving the Rascals thing the most. Joe Hendry is kind of like a phenomenon unto itself. If I said that right. Joe Hendry is kind of like a little bit separate here, because he's just all around awesome. But the Rascals thing is just so great. My favorite part we saw on TNA the other night on Thursday is the Rascals sitting in basically in the circle from that 70s show. And if anybody who's seen that 70s show knew immediately that that's what they were doing. It's been great to see the three of them together. I wasn't watching previously when they were together. Like, I know Zach Wentz had been in NXT for a little bit, and then he was released. So I'm just like, I'm super enjoying seeing the dynamic, because I feel like they've done a great job, even before this partnership started, kind of like getting people hyped for like, we want to team up again. And so Deb, that's my favorite.
So Deb, keep me honest because I missed this week's episode, but obviously we saw the Rascals all three in NXT. Tonight's the first night that Wesley is going to be back on TNA programming with the two as a group, right? Okay.
I think so. Yes, this is the first time that he's going to TNA. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's that's just super fun to me. I think I think they have a massive fan following just because of the previous things that they've done together, and if you know kind of like the undertones of all their jokes, it's just hilarious.
And you could tell the genuine emotion when they were in the ring on NXT. Like that was a
Yeah.
moment that was very real. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. So I will say, on the flip side, the only thing I wish they would do better is the women that they're bringing from NXT to TNA. We saw Jordan Grace on NXT, and that was amazing. But I feel like the women that they're bringing to TNA have been a little bit lackluster. Like they're sending over, kind of the lesser known names. I can't even remember the name of the woman that came out last week, but it feels like the women that they're sending over to TNA from NXT are kind of only people that the NXT diehards know who they are. I don't really think anybody else outside of loyal NXT fans knew who, that girl was. So that's just something I wish they would do better is, get some of the more star names from NXT. NXT has an amazing women's roster. They have some really, 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 big stars that are kind of on the cusp of something huge. But I feel like it would be better if we got like, maybe, maybe even, God, what's her name? Roxanne Perez. Maybe, I know she's a champion right now, obviously, but maybe if she, would make an appearance over on TNA, I just feel like that, that's something that they could improve on in this partnership.
Yeah, so a couple things there, and I see John Bay in here talking about Stephanie Vaquer. I don't think that she would debut for NXT in TNA. That'd be sort of a weird thing, but
no.
I wouldn't mind seeing her ringside announcing the new NXT signing, big NXT logo. Recently signed. Here's Stephanie Vaquer, because she's already been on live events. She's been all over the social media. It'd be a cool thing to have her visually on screen. I wouldn't put her in the ring in a TNA ring as your first on TV WWE appearance.
Right.
But yeah, I agree. Like Thea Hale would be great. You've got Sol Ruka. You've got some bigger names like Lola Vice. I mean, there's definitely some folks that I would put over there to go kick some ass.
Yeah.
Because I think Ted and Paxley is cool, but I don't think people were super excited to see her as the surprise. So like.
And Ezra put in the chat, her name was Izzy Dame. I was like, who? No offense to her. I'm sure she's fantastic, but I don't think, unless you're a loyal NXT viewer, I don't think you know who she is.
She's been on TV a lot the last few weeks, but you're right. She's not one of the more. She is. I think the benefit of an Izzy Dame, and I guess we'll just jump into the card now, because Izzy Dame is like 6 feet 6'1". Like she's a tall, big, powerful girl, and you put her up against some of the women in TNA. There's some good matchups there. So I think that from that perspective, it's a good fit.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're right. Most people don't know who she is yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Another thing I'd like to add too is NXT is unfortunately has two of their bigger known female talents that are out on injury right now. Cora Jade and the other one, the blonde. I don't watch NXT, so
Nikita.
Yes.
Yeah, Nikita. I don't know. I haven't seen anything about her recently, so I don't know.
Well,
if
and that's what sucks.
Back shortly.
she came back from injury and like quickly got injured again. She wasn't even back that long, which sucks.
Yeah.
I'm definitely waiting for Cora Jade to come back shortly, hopefully.
Yeah.
Kelani Jordan's a good pick as well. Because she's the inaugural women's NXT North American champion. So that'd be cool. Yeah. Well, but that brings up another question. That's a good pick, Neil. So I'd like to see an NXT title defended in TNA. I think that would be a big deal, especially on the women's side, to be interesting. So yeah, to your point, send Roxy over there. So Tony, like, give me a moment that you were super excited about.
Seeing Joe Hendry and how he's blown up and how you're seeing him everywhere now. You're seeing him everywhere now. And they're teasing. They're making commercial spots with his face just coming up at the very end. It's crazy how this Joe Hendry flame has just gotten bigger and bigger. You know what I mean? And so I'm excited. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Excited to see what happens tonight on Slammiversary with him and the match that he's in with the rest of the for the World Championship. So it's just crazy. I mean, Joe Hendry, even Chad, our own Chad. He got on the Joe Hendry train and he never jumped off. He's there for the ride and I mean, hell, he talks about Joe Hendry all the dang time. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, rightly so.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
I know one person that doesn't believe is Booker T. If you follow their social media interactions.
Yeah.
I'm loving also that Joe Hendry has kind of blown up. That people that may not have been aware of him or don't haven't gotten into TNA, more people are knowing who he is, and the older videos of his parody songs from TNA recently, and then going back to his time in the UK, all these older videos of his songs are kind of circulating around social media, and people are just discovering him for the first time, and it's just so cool to see that people are like, oh my god, this guy is so awesome.
Yeah, he blew the hell up. I mean, he had 17-18 million views on that one video. Like, it's insane. But so I worry though, because this week they used him, I think 4 or 5 times on the show, and he said, I'm not going anywhere, I'm staying in NXT, and we're like, that's awesome. But okay, now we're excited you're here, but what's the story? Like, what are you going to do? So that's, to me, like, I need to know kind of what the next week's going to look like.
I think that's definitely the hang up for some people that I've seen. That I've seen comments on social media where, like, yeah, this guy's fun and his songs are funny, but what is there else that I'm supposed to get into? Like, I've seen some people say, like, is there a certain match or something that I can go back and watch that, like, shows why people love him? And I don't think there's really one particular match. It's just his whole character, his whole and we talk about this all the time, like the character and that whole persona is oftentimes more important than the actual in-ring match. So yeah, I mean, if you're interested in the guy, there's not one match that any of us can point to and say, this is why this guy's a star, this is why you need to watch this guy. Right. It's just his whole aura.
We celebrate his whole career, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Our very own Steve says, I'd like to see Beer Money one more time. So it's the interesting thing about that. Obviously, Bobby Roode is retired in ring. He's a backstage producer for WWE. Cody, I think, mentioned him a lot in the interview this week. But I agree, because I'm a big James Storm fan, as is someone we know in the chat who probably chatted.
I wonder who that is.
I agree. That'd be fun. Even just as a one-off appearance, it'd be super cool. I I think for me too, all of the stuff with Jordynne Grace has been my favorite, just because I love the fact that the title's been represented, the title's been shown on WWE programming, in the Royal Rumble, and NXT. I like the stuff that she did at Battleground with Ash by Elegance, because after hearing the Ash interview, I think she's going to figure some stuff out once she dials that character, and I think it's going to be cool. I do think that she was really onto something at the end of her NXT run. That was the best we ever saw of Dana Brooke. And if she can figure out how to pick all the good stuff from all of those things, I think it could be fun. We'll wait and see. Yes. It's Trenda. We know it's Trenda. But that's been the highlight for me, and just seeing her interact with the women, and honestly, like all the backstage stuff and the social media stuff with Shawn Michaels. Honestly, Shawn Michaels' interaction with everybody has been hilarious.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially Joe Hendry.
He knows how to do that. He knows exactly how to do those little things. We've seen it from him his whole career.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's jump over to the card. So I know we started talking about it already, but let's see. Let's jump. Actually, so while we're talking about Jordynne Grace, she's defending against Ash. This story's been pretty well built, I think. They debuted Ash in an interesting way with like her manager. And then it was just sort of week by week. They were slowly building it. They didn't rush it. We saw it carry over into NXT Battleground, like we just mentioned, and now it's headed to the ring. I think they've done a pretty good job here. She's not going to win, but it'll be fun.
Right.
Yeah, Jordan's obviously going to win, but yeah, I do agree that I think they've done a great job with the character development of Ash by Elegance. When she first showed up, we were all kind of like, what is this? And then, as the weeks went on, the character kind of really blossomed, and, you understood what they're going for with the character. It's very tongue-in-cheek. And I think she's really shown, I think, more so than any time in her WWE career, of what she offers, really, in ring and as far as character goes.
Right. Yeah. When she first debuted in TNA, she kind of looks like, from a distance, kind of resembles Charlotte Flair in a way. Just her stature and her hair, and I don't know. It was, when she had debuted, I remember saying to myself, "What, Charlotte Flair? No, Ash by Elegance. Okay, Dana Brooke. All right." But yeah, I agree with Front Row. I mean, the best we saw of her was in NXT, and plus when she was the 24/7 champion, that she was kind of starting to show. When she had that 24/7 championship, she was showing more of her character, and they were giving her more time on TV and stuff. And but now, she's definitely figuring stuff out, and I agree, she's going to be. I don't think she's going to win tonight, obviously, but yeah, I think that she's going to. We're going to be seeing more of her, as the days and weeks go on. So.
Well, I think that was, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the only title that she won in WWE in a 10-year run. Like, I think that was the only gold she ever held. And she took it super seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, and that's what you should do, no matter what the title.
Right.
Like, you should. So I thought she did a pretty good job with it. I want to get your guys' opinion in looking at this whole card. Obviously, we don't have time to break down every match, but I want to get your thoughts on what you think match of the night will be. And I'll start real quick, because I'm a huge fan of this guy. Like, I love Speedball Mike Bailey. I have never seen him have anything less than an incredible match, no matter where he's performed. And of course, Mustafa Ali is an unbelievable in-ring performer, and the story that he's been telling has been pretty cool too. So to me, that's the match I think that could steal the show.
Okay. I think that's going to be a great match, but I think, looking at the card here, I think the tag team championship with the System versus ABC is probably going to be the match of the night. I mean, everyone knows that I'm partial to ABC. But yeah, I think they've been doing such a great job with their tag team division lately. and those two teams are just killing it. On the other hand, I'm super interested to see what goes down with Matt Hardy and Dirty Dango. We saw Rebby getting beat down the other night on TNA. So yeah, I'm super interested with what happens there. But yeah, I think the tag teams are going to take it tonight.
Well, obviously, I'm excited about the World Championship match. Not only to see who's going to win, I'm rooting for Nick to win it. But I think we may get some surprise tonight. Just there's a slight chance that we might get a surprise tonight. I don't know who, but it's Slammiversary is one of TNA's main pay-per-views, so I think we're going to get something tonight. So that's my pick.
That's interesting. So we didn't really talk about that. I think for me, I don't think Joe Hendry needs a title, so I don't think he's going to win that title tonight. Looking at that list, I also think Nick could possibly win it, but again, he's also a guy who's kind of there to work with other people. I don't know that he needs it. Honestly, I have Moose retaining, but I would be, to your point, a surprise at the end of the show. Whoever walks away with the world title, someone from WWE shows up. Maybe it's someone from the main roster. We know there's an NXT relationship, but it could be anybody.
Right.
Who are you thinking, Tony?
Who just recently got released from WWE and was just on Busted Open yesterday?
Well, yeah. So he's a GCW tonight. So
well, that just blows my theory out of the water.
Right. they advertise him for GCW tonight.
Okay.
But yeah,
we are getting a surprise. I just feel it in my bones.
I think we'll see the debut of Ricochet. But I don't think it'll be in that spot. I think it'll be somewhere earlier in the night.
Okay.
I didn't think about
that. Was last night. That was last night on GCW. Okay, that's my bad. I saw the social media post. I thought that was for tonight.
So there's still a chance.
I was fixing this. So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah. Another match that hang
on. I'm sorry. I'm going back. No, Ezra's saying I'm right. He will be at GCW tonight.
And Ezra's our GCW expert. So
I'm going with Ezra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously we have tonight the Rascals versus No Quarter Catch Crew.
Yeah.
That's just, and we've said it already. This NXT partnership is just going really well, and we're getting some awesome matches out of it. And this is just another one that, we're not only are we seeing the Rascals teaming up together again, but No Quarter Catch Crew with I'm honestly, forgive me, I'm not a loyal NXT viewer, but I know Charlie Dempsey, obviously. I'm not quite sure who the other two guys are. But I'm excited to see Charlie Dempsey.
Yeah, they've been on TV. Tavion Heights has been a little bit more. Yeah, so I don't know. I agree. The Rascals are just too high profile right now. That's where they're gonna go.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ezra just popped me that we don't need KNEED.
All right, Ezra's in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we laughed. That's
right.
You're not in the corner if we laugh.
Right. No matter how inappropriate it is.
That's a good one, Ez. I'll give you that one.
Well, we got just a couple more minutes until the show starts. Let's give folks a couple minutes to go get some snacks. Thank you guys so much. This was fun. 3 years has been awesome, and I'm looking forward to the next 3 to 9 months. I mean, years.
Wow, you make it sound like a sentence. You're sentenced to 3 to 9 more months of this.
All right, so Deb, where can people find you on the Twitter? On social?
You know the drill. At That's So Debonair on the you put it.
He messed up your rhythm.
That's so Debonair on the Twitter machine and the Instagram. And if you feel so inclined, go and click the link in the bio on either of those profiles. Just saying. That's it.
Cool.
Tony?
I am at Tony Justice, AJFA. And if you're a Metallica fan, like I know all three of us are, and most of our crew is, you know what that means. Ooh.
Yeah.
And you can be found at PW Front Row. I'm rarely on socials, but you can go look at my account there if you want to. You can find us at Nation's Corner. I don't have a link anymore. You can find us at Nation's Corner on X and the Nation's Corner everywhere else. Next week we'll be back with another fun-filled episode. There's going to be all kinds of cool stuff happening this week. Thanks for joining, and we will see you all next week. Later.